Hi, I'm Michael Figura, and welcome to this ADAPT tutorial, an example farm management information system. In this tutorial, we'll pick up where we left off from our previous plugin example and continue to familiarize ourselves with the ADAPT framework. We're not going to be writing any code this time, but we'll get hands-on by walking through an existing example in Visual Studio. After we look through the code a bit, we're going to run the example and walk through its various steps in order. And this example will show us data converted using our plugin from the last tutorial that now fits neatly in our FMIS data model. The steps are pretty simple in this tutorial. First, we'll download the FMIS example from GitHub. We'll take a look at a few important things within the project, and then we'll run it. So let's get started. Once you have the example FMIS project open, let's take a look at a few important things to make note of. First, you'll notice we have our references to the ADAPT framework. Also, you'll see there's an ADAPT folder in our project where we have our work from the previous plugin tutorial, including the JSON data file, as well as the plugin itself. Next, you'll see we have a data layer for our example FMIS system with our own FMIS data model, including crops, farms, fields, zones, etc. Finally, we have our custom mapping code, which maps the imported data into our custom FMIS data model in memory. This code has been very well documented with comments for your convenience, and I urge you to take some time reading through it. What's important to note here is that there are a number of steps performed during the mapping of these objects, starting with lookups performed using each object's unique ID. The adapter framework has a compound identifier implementation that makes all of this logic possible, and we'll see this in action shortly. One last item of importance for FMIS developers using ADAPT is to make note of the plugin factory, which allows us to discover available plugins at runtime. Let's run the example now and walk through the steps. As we walk through this example, you'll notice I've added a few breakpoints on areas of code that are important to understand. Before we begin, you'll see a brief explanation here regarding this example and the use of ADAPT's compound identifiers. Unique IDs play a very important role in the importing and exporting of data within an FMIS and allow us to recognize what data is new and what is duplicate. Hitting any key, our code is going to search for plugins on my first breakpoint, and we can see here that we've discovered our example plugin from the previous tutorial. Next, we're going to import our data from the plugin into an empty data store. Each time data is imported, our code loops through and gets the unique IDs of each object in the model. It also compares those unique IDs to any other IDs that already exist. This second step is critical to achieving data integrity and avoiding duplicates. You can see now that the sample data from our data file is now loaded in memory. For a final step, our code is going to delete the management zones and then run the import a second time. We don't want all of that data duplicated, and so our code will ensure data integrity via the unique IDs. When we hit next, we can see that only the management zones were imported into the model since all of the other data was already loaded. I hope you enjoyed this ADAPT tutorial, an example FMIS scenario. I'm Michael Figura, and thanks for watching.